Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Entitled People. As usual, we got some more Reddit stories to check out today, so let's get into it. Can't remove the charge? Well, I'll just use it then. In the early 2000s, when I first moved out on my own, I rented from a complex that charged you for assigned parking. It was an upcharge of $25 a month. If you didn't get assigned parking, you would have to fight for a space on the street. My apartment was in the back of the complex, and I was getting over a recent knee and ankle injury, so I opted for paid parking that was relatively close to my front door. My car was a junker 3 years older than I am, but it ran semi-okay and the heater worked. As a newly minted adult, I was happy to have it. About 3 months into my lease, my car went to the great scrap heap in the sky. I had gotten used to the local transit system, and discovered a nearby store would drop off groceries for me. This was long before Walmart and other stores started doing it, so it was cheaper than figuring a month's supplies on the bus. So I opted not to replace the car and utilized the bus pass my work reimbursed me for. I went to my leasing office and told them I no longer needed the space, and would you please remove the extra charge from my bill? The manager at the desk was new and had never been asked that before. She promised to look into it and let me know. I was naive and figured it would be gone come next month. Nope, it was still there. I paid all but the parking space and called up the complex. Same girl. She said she was awaiting word from higher-ups and offered me a credit for the charge as a one-time courtesy. I reminded her that I no longer owned a car. I hadn't just changed my mind. I told her that the space had been empty for close to a month now and that I won't be utilizing it. She said she understood, loud and clear, and would get it sorted by next month. 3 days before rent was due, she finally got back to me. Apparently, it was in my lease and couldn't be removed without breaking the lease and signing a new one. Even if I did move out, the lease breaking and initiation fees would be charged to me, and my rent would go up to the new current market value. This would be over $1,000, so not an option for someone freshly on their own. I kept the parking space on the lease. 3 weeks later, I was reviewing my lease to get the phone number for maintenance, and noticed the clause for the parking space. Essentially, I could park a motorcycle, scooter such as Vespa, car, truck, SUV, or trailer in the space. Gears were turning. For me to be in compliance, I had to have wheels on anything parked in my space. So I went to my local version of Craigslist and found a wheeled container, similar to a shipping container. It wasn't cheap, but it was worth every cent. The complex offered storage sheds at an upcharge too. Being fresh out of high school, I didn't have much to store. My neighbor, though, did. I threw a lock on the unit and offered it to my neighbor for half the cost of a shed, $35 a month. He was able to move his stuff out of his storage unit, where he was paying over $100 a month, and the container was available 24/7, 365. He was happy for the arrangement and paid several months in advance. The complex put several tow stickers for out of compliance on the trailer. But I called the tow company and faxed them a copy of the lease, where it says trailers are allowed. The container was registered with the county as a utility trailer, so there's nothing they could do. They tried to fine me for improper parking, but again, I had proof I was within my rights. They even offered to remove the charge for parking on my lease if I would relocate the container. With what my neighbor was paying, I could cover my water bill every month, so I declined. I stayed 18 months and sold the trailer to my neighbor when I moved out. He had to rent a car to relocate it to his assigned space, but he said it was worth the couple hundred he paid. He ended up saving over $1,000 a year renting from me. Other neighbors even started bringing in their own containers too, even if it meant getting a second space. Sheds were being vacated at such a large volume, the complex tried to give them away at 6 months free. Few took them up on it. The complex amended the new leases to exclude trailers, but could do nothing about those that already had them in the spot. Instead of moving out and giving notice, renters would reassign their lease to new people so they could be grandfathered into the trailer clause. I drove by the facility 2 years or so after I moved out, going to a friend's for Thanksgiving. The complex had been sold to a new owner and changed their name. But wouldn't you know, there were still about a dozen wheeled shipping containers parked in the lot. Old lady makes a scene and trespasses over $18. I do work for in-house marketing and customer service for a Korean spa in my area that offers overnight stays. I used to work the floor, so I'm pretty familiar with all sorts of customer service issues that come through our door. But this was a new one. For some background, Korean spas have admission fees that are essentially the guest's day pass to use all the saunas, lounge areas, different types of hot tubs, etc., and overall just relax with no time limit. Our spa sells individual passes, but we also sell them in a discounted multiple entry bundle, and they're valid on any day up to their 2-year expiration date. On January 1st, we rolled out a new policy allowing us to still accept expired tickets, but we just have to upcharge guests for that day's admission cost. On weekdays, the upcharge would be $6, and on weekends, it would be $11. Previously, we used to just not accept the tickets altogether and make guests pay the full price. So this is honestly an improvement from a customer standpoint. And so far, most of our guests have been more than happy to pay the fee, since they can still use their expired tickets. Cue this old lady who comes in a couple days ago on a weekday, with what looked to be her husband and a friend. Now our office is situated right by the front door and lobby, so managers can be on hand easily whenever the check-in and check-out lines get busy. The door to the office is ajar, but also says employees only in clear signage. This will be important later. A front desk attendant comes in and lets us know that a guest has 3 expired admission tickets, doesn't want to pay the fee, which would have only been $18 USD, and was, quote, told by a manager that goes to her church that her ticket would still be accepted. So the floor manager for the day goes out to the front desk to talk to her. Next thing you know, us in the office hear a whole lot of yelling and arguing going back and forth. We're nosy and look at the cameras, and we see this old lady waving her hands around and demanding to be let in for free, while the manager just repeats that he cannot do that for her. At one point, she even tried to throw the tickets over the desk at him. Finally, after about 20 minutes of this, she pays and then goes in with her guests. Manager comes back to the office. Everything seems peachy. About 30 minutes later, this old lady walks right through our office door, employees only, holding her arm out and pointing daggers at the manager she spoke to. Meanwhile, me and my coworkers are just sitting at our laptops doing our work, with this lady way too close to our table. The crazy lady says, "Are you the manager here?" Getting up from his seat, the manager says, Yes ma'am, I am one of the managers. What can I do for you?" "You charged me for the entry fee, even though I had tickets." "Well ma'am, your tickets were expired, so we just needed to charge you for the difference in price. You were still able to use your tickets." "Well, that's ridiculous. What kind of policy is that? These tickets are supposed to be free." "I apologize, but they expire after 2 years. So instead of turning you away entirely, our policy is to have guests match the difference. We announced it on our website and our social media at the beginning of the month. I can show it to you on our website if you like." "Well, I didn't see that." "Well, just because you didn't see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Again, I'm happy to show you where we have it in our policy list." "This is absolutely ridiculous, and I've never seen anything like this." "Ma'am, I can assure you that many other businesses have expiration dates on their coupons." "No, they don't. I've never seen that." "They definitely do, and I'm just following company policy." "Company policy? That's ridiculous. You made this policy." "Ma'am, I did not make this policy." "Yes, you did." "Again, I am not the policy maker. I am just the policy upholder." "You made this policy, and it's a stupid policy." So they went back and forth like this for about 15 minutes. Clearly, my coworkers and I are immature, because we kind of wanted to laugh at how out of pocket the whole situation was, and it got hard to keep a straight face the angrier she got. Finally, the manager was clearly getting fed up with this old-ass lady. "Ma'am, you are causing a scene and distracting our employees, as you walked into an employee-only area. I'm happy to discuss this with you outside the office." They move right outside the doors, but we can still hear them arguing. Still in awe of how my manager stayed calm and kept his voice level, even as she screamed at him. The crazy lady is still going off about how the new policy sucks and is bad business, among all sorts of other things. And the manager says, "I'm sorry, but if you continue disrupting our environment like this, we will have to ask you to leave the premises." "Leave the premises? I was forced to pay." "I can show you in the lobby where we have our facility rules stating, we have the right to remove any customers who are deemed to be disruptive and abusive towards staff." "Well, I won't be leaving. I want to know why I had to pay 18 extra." "Oh, you're not leaving? I'll have to call the police then if you refuse to leave." "Go ahead then. Call the police if you want. I'm the one who was scammed." "Alright, I will. So just to get your verbal acknowledgement of this, you're refusing to leave private property?" "Yes, I am." Okay, great. Before I call, can I just confirm again that you're refusing to leave and admit to trespassing into an employee-only area? Yes, because you made a bad policy. So I can call the police? Go ahead and call the police, I won't leave. So again, just to confirm again, you will not leave even after you've been asked and told that we have the right to remove disruptive people from the building. The crazy lady, tired of these circles, says, yes, do it, go ahead and call them. So my manager pulled out his phone, and from what it sounded like, started dialing. I think her other guests finally came and collected her before anything could actually happen, and they ended up leaving as she muttered to herself about the crazy, ridiculous policy. To top it all off, my manager walked back into the office like nothing even happened. No police were called after all, but we were all just shook at how that one event really took up a good chunk of our workday. And props to our manager for not bending over for entitled customers, not a single bit. I do wish I could have seen this little old lady try to explain this waste of time to the responding officers that would have showed up. No, babies are not public property for anyone's enjoyment. I've got 3 short related anecdotes from several years ago that aren't enough to merit their own posts. All happened at times I, male 40 at the time, had my infant son out shopping. The first 2 were just me and him. The last one, my wife was with us too. I needed to get something at Home Depot, so I put him in the stroller and went into the store. I didn't know where the item was, so I asked an employee who didn't just tell me where to go but was actually taking me there. Along the way, we passed 2 women, at least in their 70s, grandmother types. One of them said, "Stop," as if she needed something important. All she said was, "We have to see the baby." I was so startled, I didn't say or do anything, so they got to see the baby. The employee, unsure of what was going on, just walked away. I don't blame her at all, and I had to find someone else to tell me where to go. Another time, as my son and I were leaving the grocery store, another grandmother type just reached out and started playing with his toes. This time, I had enough presence of mind to say, "Please don't touch my son." To which she had the gall to say, "But he's wearing socks." As I walked away, I said something along the lines of, "It doesn't matter, you don't have permission to touch a random baby." To end on a happier note, my wife and I were at Target with the kid, when another set of grandparent types started interacting with our son while we were stopped in an aisle looking at something. I don't mind if you interact with him from a distance. Stimulation is good for an infant. Then the husband reached out to pinch his cheek or something similar. Before we could say anything, his wife told him not to touch someone's baby without asking first. As we walked away, she was still criticizing him and telling him never to do that again. That is all for today, guys. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.